It's Dave Duford at Final Expense Agent Mentor, home of the best final expense insurance sales training ever created. I am welcoming you into my vehicle as I'm wrapping up a field training day today and wanted to answer a user question I thought was pretty good, pretty relevant, and would probably help some of you guys out. So the question is for particularly new agents, the question being, should I go captive before I go independent? So I think this is a good question because people have this idea that they see my content or they see the other people out there that create YouTube content for final expense or insurance sales training, and they get the idea that it might be a better overall deal ultimately to go independent, but to potentially first start off as a captive because there's a belief that captivity to a particular carrier is going to offer training, better sales support, and overall better experiences for new people. Because as most of what captive carriers do is they recruit people who have very little experience selling in the final expense world. And this lesson, of course, I'm teaching is applicable, really, I think, regardless of whether you sell final expense or you sell some other kind of product. So it really applies to any of you. So I think one of the main things you have to ask yourself is that, what are you intending to get out of being captive with a captive agency? So again, if you're new, a captive agency is where one particular person, an agent represents one particular carrier, and only has one product, one options, but usually there's a lot more perceived hand-holding and overall effect or benefit for the newer agent. Again, keyword perceived. Most captive carriers, most commonly you hear about, include Lincoln Heritage, Senior Life, Old American, Bankers Life, and Casualty, I think. And but anyways, and a lot of people think that this is the best route to go because, again, the perceived advantages of a home office or a branch office, someone to help you train and all that jazz. Here's the thing: I don't think there's a yes/no answer to this anymore. If you talked to me 3 years ago, I would have flat out said going independent is completely the only route to go. Going captive is not a good idea. It's not good for your business model. Blah 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 blah. I don't think that's the case anymore. One of the things I've discovered after recruiting for agents for half a decade now is that what you're looking for as an agent is an agency that ideally matches your personality type and what it is that you're looking to accomplish. The tough thing is to figure out if you do better or fare better with an office environment, camaraderie, and surrounding yourself with people. You're welcome, Michael. Glad you enjoy it. With like-minded people and like-minded people physically. If you favor that and you also fear the idea of going completely independent on your own, then a captive environment is probably where you're at. I even hearken it to even be more specific. If you're used to being an employee and then you're thinking, there you go, Scott. Yeah, that's talk about sales training, right? If you're more of an employee mindset type of person, you're probably going to fare better in a restrictive captive environment. And I say restrictive because an employee, because what a captive environment does is it offers an environment familiar to more of those who go out and are used to an employee type of setup. If you have bosses, you have managers, you have accountability, you have requirements, you have to show up at specific times, you get on conference calls at regular intervals. Some people just do well with that kind of micromanagement. And the thing is in this business, it truly, even with these different layers of micromanagement and involvement from the upper level management, it's still ultimately an individual outcome. Your managers can't make you successful. They can try to manage your way to success, but they ultimately can't help you out the door to go actually sell something. So there's a group of people that thrive. I don't know if thrive's the right word, but they do good enough in that particular type of setup, and they should be in that. Whereas the independent agent, the person that should go independent, I think, the best people to go independent first are those with a business background or a sales background where they've already proven that they are self-sufficient. If you've had success in your life in a business, if you've had success in selling something you should feel proud of yourself because you actually managed to do that all by yourself. Most likely, you can't skate by on success as a salesperson for long and not be held accountable. Because ultimately, especially on a straight sales commission basis, straight 100% commission, you eat what you kill. And if you can't do that, you're gone. I think these people are the best, and that's kind of what I look for in my agency. I want people who have been in a position where they've had to been self-sufficient. You're welcome, John. Glad you enjoy it. I hope you're doing well. If you've been self-sufficient and successful on your own, it's very likely you'd thrive in an agency environment like what I have to offer. Because I tell agents I recruit, I'm not going to follow up with them. I'm not going to ask them, what have you done for me lately? I'm not going to give them the A.L. Williams pep talk. All that stuff has its place, and for some people it's great, but it's not going to make you go out there and do it. I think to some extent, kind of on an extension of that, the motivational ish type of approach that some agencies try to employ to get their agents to work is tertiary, it's surface level, because ultimately you're either motivated or not. So George Carlin said in a skit I was watching the other day. And why do you need a book to be motivated? You're either going to do it or not, and that's really what it comes down to. And those people that are afraid of being on their own to go out there and succeed, they're not going to do well in an environment like mine. Not that I leave my agents out to dry. I mean, I help them. They know. It's incumbent upon them to contact me and follow up with me to help me put myself to work to help them. So here's the rub. This is the $64,000 question. A lot of people think, well, yeah, independent sounds better. I'm independent, right? I can manage this stuff. But a lot of people who think they should be independent really should. They really don't have the stuff. And the question you have to learn how to answer is what kind of person. Hey, Michael, nice to meet you. Nice to hear from you. A lot of people really have to determine for themselves, really, what would I thrive better in? And you really have to do a lot of self-examination. And that's the most difficult part. We are, some say we're our worst critics, right? But there are certain things of which we're completely ignorant of that are false sometimes. And, we're not going to give ourselves an honest assessment, but you have to have somebody that you know, like, and trust that can help you navigate between both of these, because you can succeed in both environments. But there are certain people like me, a captive environment is entirely toxic. I would go crazy. I'd jump off the home office or branch office building. I couldn't manage being in a position where I'm being micromanaged, being told what to do. Hell, the whole reason I sell insurance is to get away from micromanagement, to get away from management and having to be told what to do, right? I mean, to me, that's like, well, yeah, that's why I, of course, sell. But for other people, it's not so much the case. So do a self-assessment. And it's okay if you find that you're better in an environment where you're not independent. Totally fine. Because the ultimate goal here is to find an environment that's conducive to bringing out the best in your capabilities, no matter what they may be, to maximize your strengths and then minimize your weaknesses, so that you can go out and help people. So you can help sell them insurance, help them insure them so they keep their insurance, and more or less just be in a position where you can make this a long-term career as opposed to short-term. A couple other things I'll add as far as the independent route. I think this is important to cover. A lot of people will be better off independent if they are critical thinkers, if they have independent thinking capacity, and they're concerned with quality. Let's say you sell heritage. It's very hard to sell heritage sustainably and have a problem deep down that what you're selling is an inferior product, and it's something that, as far as pricing goes, and you may have a problem not getting people insured fully from the first day that otherwise would be insured with other companies. You're not going to survive in an environment like that if you have this deep down personal issue with selling, in some circumstances, definitely inferior price coverage or inferior underwriting coverage. And you will fail out. Those are signs that somebody who is captive should be independent. Or you've done the math and you've thought long enough that the kind of results that you want out of this business aren't going to match up with the captive environment. Or if the only route to be successfully captive is to recruit agents, and you don't want to, not a good idea. Whereas independence is a much better outcome. So I hope this helps. Again, the intention here is to help distinguish between what is considered to be a good choice to go down to if you sell if you sell life insurance of any kind, and you're looking for whether or not you want to be successful in a captive environment or an independent environment. So I want to show you this. This is my backwards book. I don't think you can see it. It's called the Interviews with Top Producing Insurance Agents. It's just released recently. Actually, it's on pre-release. You can find it on Amazon. And I'm actually reducing the price by $5. You're welcome, Jeff. Hey, Jeff, how you doing? Oh, okay, yeah. Jeff, that's funny. Jeff is a kid I went to high school with who lives in Texas and apparently found me on YouTube. It's a small world. But anyways, check out my book. It's on Amazon. I'm reducing the price by $5 for the next couple of days until Wednesday, which is the official date that the book is being released. And all profits above cost are going to be donated to the Wounded Warrior Project. And that's going to be the case for the next month until September 15th. So please pick up a copy if you haven't already. I've had tons purchased already. And leave a review, only a 5-star review, if you really think it deserves it. Of course, if you like the book. My name is Dave Duford, Final Expense Age Mentor. Logging out. We'll see you next time.